What if events went differently in Thor Ragnarok? What if Anakin Skywalker was in the MCU? What if Anakin / Darth Vader was in the MCU? Imagine a timeline where the Chosen One had ended up in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where he navigates his way to find a way home and save the ones that he loves. Well, my fellow watchers, missed the part here. Back again with another brand new Star Wars and Marvel crossover video, and today we're kicking off What If Anakin Skywalker Was in the MCU? And we're starting off with Thor Ragnarok, where all the events are going to be completely different. Things are going to change. I'm super hyped to get into this Marvel and Star Wars crossover. A lot of people have been asking me to do something like this for a very long time, and to finally get my hands on Anakin Skywalker and throw him into the MCU. Like, Anakin is literally one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Star Wars character. And the redemption arc that he has in Return of the Jedi, it's just really amazing. And to, you know, do some Star Wars what ifs on this channel and seeing how popular they are now on YouTube is just crazy. Everybody's doing them, and I give everybody props who are doing Star Wars what ifs, and I can't wait to get back into the fold. So again, my fellow watchers, if you guys are new to the channel and you're stumbling upon this video, I don't really do a lot of Star Wars what ifs, but I would highly recommend that you guys subscribe, like, share, and turn those notifications on so you and your friends are all up to date with the latest content. I also have a Substack as well as a Patreon where you can get a bunch of bonus content. But thank you guys so much, and let's get into the brand new video. Location: Surtur's lair, Muspelheim. We open on Muspelheim, where the fire demon Surtur is holding Thor captive in his lair. We find out that it has been roughly 2 years since the Battle of Sokovia, and Thor reveals that he has been unsuccessfully searching the galaxy for more Infinity Stones. Surtur tells Thor that he has been waiting for centuries to fulfill the Ragnarok prophecy and destroy Asgard. Thor is slightly surprised to see Surtur, thinking that his father Odin had killed the fire demon 500,000 years ago. Surtur says that Odin only imprisoned him here in Muspelheim, and that he cannot die until the prophecy has been fulfilled. Surtur also tells Thor that he too has a part to play in Asgard's demise. "I am Asgard's doom, and so are you." Thor scoffs at Surtur's rants about Ragnarok, and teases Surtur about the fact that Odin has robbed him of the eternal flame, without which he cannot lay waste to Asgard. Thor tells Surtur that he'll never be able to retrieve the eternal flame, as it is locked away in Odin's vault. Surtur responds by saying that Odin has left Asgard defenseless, and that Ragnarok has already begun. Once Surtur has rekindled with the eternal flame, he'll grow as big as a mountain and burn Asgard to the ground. Deciding that he's heard enough moaning, Thor breaks free from his chains and summons Mjolnir to assist him against Surtur's fire demons. Thor seems rusty, but he still makes light work of the fiery hordes with the help of some lightning. Thor and Surtur clash, but it's clear that Surtur is no match for the god of thunder, without the power of the eternal flame running through him. Thor uses Mjolnir to decapitate the monstrous fire demon, and straps his head to his back. Thor breaks out of the lair, while being chased by a hungry fire dragon, and tries to summon Heimdall, but the gatekeeper does not come to his aid. Thor battles the fire dragon on the surface, and continues calling for Heimdall to activate the Bifrost, but he still does not respond. Thor weighs down the dragon by dumping Mjolnir into its mouth. The Bifrost finally opens and Thor escapes. Location: Bifrost Bridge, Asgard. Thor is spat out by the Bifrost along with the severed head of the dragon that was chasing him. Thor is surprised to see Skorg manning the Bifrost and not his loyal old friend Heimdall. He suspects that all is not well at Asgard and goes to find his father. Location: outdoor theater, Asgard. The Asgardian people are watching a play about how Loki sacrificed his life to save Thor as well as Asgard. Thor sees the play and knows that this is not at all how things went down. He suspects that Loki must be behind this trickery and approaches his father. The Asgardians are shocked to see Thor's return after all these years. Thor questions Odin, knowing that it is Loki in disguise. Loki tries to wriggle his way free from Thor's questions, but when Thor threatens to smash his skull with Mjolnir, Loki turns back into his true form, revealing his trickery. Thor lambasts his foolish brother for leaving Asgard undefended, and tells him about Surtur's plans to enact Ragnarok. Loki tells Thor that Odin left for Earth a while back, and agrees to take Thor to see him. Thor instructs one of the guards to lock Surtur's crown away in Odin's vault. Location: New York City, Earth. Thor and Loki arrive at the stop where Loki says he left Odin. Loki had cast a spell on Odin to make him forget himself, so that he could rule Asgard in his place. Loki had dropped Odin on Earth at an old age home, but in front of them now they see only rubble. Thor and his brother take a stroll to try and find out where their father might be, before Loki mysteriously falls through a portal. When the portal closes, a small letter is left on the street where Loki had been standing, and Thor picks it up. The letter has an address on it: 177 A. Bleecker Street. Location: 177 A. Bleecker Street, New York. Thor arrives at the mysterious location and enters the house. He is in Doctor Strange's Hawk's Nest and is met by the Master Sorcerer in the foyer. Strange wants to know why Thor would bring such a problematic character like Loki to Earth, especially after all the trouble he's caused in the past. Thor explains his search for their father, and Strange says that he can tell them where Odin is if Thor agrees to get Loki far, far away from Earth. Thor is happy with the terms, and Strange sends him and Loki through another portal to find their father. Location: remote cliff, Norway. Loki and Thor find their father sitting pensively on a cliff, looking out into the distance. Odin explains to his sons that his powers started fading when Loki cast his spell on him and sent him to Earth. However, the spell eventually faded, but Odin decided to stay on Earth and let his extremely long life come to an end. Now, at the very end of his life, Odin warns his sons about the coming danger of their unknown sister Hela. Before Thor and Loki were born, Odin ruled Asgard with the help of his daughter Hela, who he used as his weapon. Hela was a ferocious and powerful god, and when her ambition grew too powerful, Odin locked her away in a prison. Hela's prison will cease to contain her as soon as Odin's life ends, and Odin tells his sons to be ready to defend Asgard from her. In a death befitting a god, Odin evaporates into tiny particles of gold dust. Almost instantly, Hela appears on the scene, having broken free from her imprisonment. Thor tries to fight back and summons Mjolnir, but Hela plucks Mjolnir out of the sky before Thor can wield his weapon, and with one hand she shatters the mighty hammer to pieces. Thor summons the power of lightning and continues to fight Hela, who seems to find her little brother's attempts rather amusing. Hela gives Thor the opportunity to join her in her quest to rule the 9 realms, but Thor will not entertain her offer and continues to fight back. What a shame, little brother. You and I would have been a great team. Hela takes the fighting more seriously now and begins to beat Thor to a pulp. She is an experienced warrior with incredible strength and agility. Hela leaves Thor lying in a head on the floor and walks slowly up to Loki. "What about you, trickster? she asks. Loki chokes on his words for a second, before taking a knee and vowing his allegiance to Hela. Loki then summons the Bifrost. Thor screams out to his brother to not let Hela into the Bifrost, but he's too late. Thor gets up to his feet and desperately jumps into the Bifrost to chase after them. Inside the Bifrost, Thor and Hela continue to brawl, but Thor is outmuscled once again and cast out of the Bifrost into space. Location: Bifrost Bridge, Asgard. Hela and Loki arrive at the Bifrost Bridge. Scourge can see that Loki is frightened by something. Everything all right, my lord? This is Hela, my sister, the goddess of death. She's the boss around here from now. Do what she says or be impaled. Capiche? Skorg nods and steps aside as Hela marches past him. Hela makes her way into Asgard and is met by the Asgardian army. Hela states her claim to the throne and gives the Asgardian army a chance to side with her. The loyal Asgardians do not budge and stand firm. Hela rolls her eyes and single-handedly wipes out the army. Loki and Scourge watch as their new ruler impales soldier after soldier with her necro swords. She's a bit uptight, isn't she? Skorg said. I'm just glad we are on her side, Loki replied. Hela kills the last of the Asgardian soldiers and then wipes some blood off of her cheek. I've missed this. Right, come on ladies, let's go raise my army. Right away, your highness, Skorg said. Suck up. Location: Odin's vault, Asgard. Hela mocks Odin's collection in his vault as she strolls down the museum-like passage. She does not find his trophies impressive except for the Tesseract. Hela knows exactly what she does want, and that's the Eternal Flame. Hela grasps some of the Eternal Flame in her palm and smashes a hole into the floor of the vault before dropping into the deep, dark pit below. She lands in a tomb that is housing the remains of her most loyal soldiers. Using the power of the Eternal Flame, Hela raises her army of necro soldiers and Fenris, her giant wolf from the dead. Rise, my trusted warriors, and regain your place by my side. Not sure I like where this is headed, Loki replied. Not the prettiest bunch, are they? Skorg replied back. Location: outer garbage dump, Sakaar. Thor comes crashing down into the garbage planet of Sakaar. Our hero has no idea where he is. Immediately, Thor is swarmed by cannibalistic raiders who want to know if he is a fighter or food. Confused by the question, Thor responds by saying that he's not meant to be here. The raiders take this as their opportunity to capture Thor for food, entrapping him in a super-powered electric hunting net. The raiders huddle around Thor, beating him with their staffs, only to be interrupted by a small warship that swoops into the scene. A bounty hunter by the name of Scrapper 142 stumbles out of the ship. She's a little drunk. The raiders ignore Scrapper 142's commands to leave her bounty alone, so she uses her remote-operated blasters from her ship to shoot the raiders to pieces. She releases Thor from his netting only to shoot him in the neck with an embedded shock collar, which she uses to subdue and control him. Location: Champion's Processing Chamber, Sakaar. Thor is strapped to a chair in a small cylindrical room. Sitting next to him is Anakin, who is similarly bound to his seat, and he is also equipped with the shock collar. Anakin's head is hanging low. He appears to be unconscious. Thor whispers to Anakin to get his attention. When that doesn't work, he shouts, and Anakin wakes up with a fright. "Who are you? What is this place?" Thor said. "I don't know who I am anymore. And as for this place, I'm still trying to figure that out." A man stepped out, revealing himself to be Anakin. "I'm Thor, God of Thunder. I need to get out of here. My home is in grave danger." Anakin chuckles. "What's funny?" God of Thunder strapped to a chair. "Some god you are." The chairs start to move and a voice starts to speak to them. The voice tells them that they are being processed for a gladiatorial event called the Contest of Champions, and that they will be meeting the Grand Master shortly. The voice also tells them that they are on the planet of Sakaar, and that they should get used to their new home, because no one ever leaves or escapes. The chairs move into another section, where there is a mechanically enhanced barber. Thor squeals as the barber shreds his golden locks. Anakin sits with a dead face expression while the barber's claws tug and cut away at his hair. The chairs start to move again, and the voice tells them to prepare to meet the Grand Master. Location: the Grand Master's quarters, Sakaar. The Grand Master sits on his throne enjoying a luxurious banquet. Scrapper 142 is by his side. All the elite members of Sakaar's society are present. The chairs carrying Thor and Anakin enter the quarters through a mechanical door, and all the guests start clapping and cheering on their arrival. The chairs come to a halt at the foot of the Grand Master's throne. "What have you brought me today?" the Grand Master said. Scrapper 142 replied, "Not one, but two contenders." The guests cheer and applaud some more. The Grand Master is visibly pleased. "My most trusted bounty hunter never fails me. She was the one to bring us our champion. And now, contenders. Will they be worthy? Well, we'll have to find out, won't we?" Thor loses his temper and breaks out of his chair, but Scrapper 142 electrocutes him back into submission. Thor falls back into his chair, and his handcuffs reform. The Grand Master sends his contenders out, and says that there will be a contest this evening. Location: Gladiator Cell, Sakaar. Anakin and Thor are being held in a circular cell that seems to go round and round forever like an endless loop. Thor frustratedly walks around the cell, trying to find an escape, while Anakin sits dejectedly on the floor. There's another cellmate with them by the name of Korg. He is a tower figure built of what appears to be a blue kind of rock. Korg said, "Pointless trying to escape, mate. No way out. Well, I haven't found one anyway. I'm thinking of starting a revolution though. You guys want to join?" Thor asked, "What is this place?" Korg replied, "This place is a weird place, man. Things work differently here. I'm pretty sure the time is all messed up too." Anakin snapped, "Shut up!" Korg responded, "That's not nice, Brew." Thor asked, "What's your problem anyway?" Korg continued, "Well, you're both gonna have a big problem soon. A big green problem, that is. No one has ever survived a contest with the champion." Anakin confessed, "I lost someone I love. It was my fault. I was searching the galaxy for a way to bring her back when my ship got sucked into a wormhole and spat me out here." Thor urged, "Stop feeling sorry for yourself and let's get out of here together." Anakin lamented, "Maybe this is what I deserve. You don't understand the terrible things I've done. I've got an uncontrollable darkness inside of me." Korg remarked, "Don't we all, mate?" Thor insisted, "Look, whoever you are, wherever you're from, whatever you've done, I don't care. My home is about to be destroyed, and I need to get out of here. You must be pretty powerful if they've put you up against this so-called champion." Anakin stated, "I can look after myself." Thor proposed, "You help me get home, and I'll help you bring back your lady friend." Anakin asked, "How?" Thor explained, "The eternal flame, mate. Got it in my old man's garage. Brings back the dead, and some other things too." Anakin got to his feet and shook Thor's hand. "We have a deal," he said. Location: Gladiator Weapons Station, Sakaar. Thor and Anakin are preparing for their contest against the champion. Thor selects a large hammer, a shield, and a helmet. Anakin grabs only a long steel rod. Thor asks Anakin if he might be better off with something like an axe or a sword, but Anakin tells Thor to worry about himself. Thor sees Scrapper 142 on the other end of the electric fence, where she is ordering a drink at the bar. Thor rushes to her and tries to convince her to let him out. He tells her that he is a god from Asgard, who can give her all the riches she desires if she helps him. She ignores him and grabs her drink from the bartender. Thor notices the markings of the Valkyrie on her arm as she grabs her drink. Thor tells Scrapper 142 that Asgard is in grave danger, and that she must help him return or their home is doomed. Scrapper 142 tells Thor that Asgard is no longer her home and walks away. Anakin and Thor are escorted into the tunnel. The battle is about to begin. The gates open in front of them and they walk out into the massive Colosseum-type arena. The Grand Master can be heard on the loudspeaker as he introduces the champion. The crowd roars with excitement. The champion emerges from behind a cloud of green smoke. It is the Hulk. Thor is delighted to see his friend, and the crowd are slightly taken aback by Thor's reaction. Thor explains that he and Hulk are friends from work, but this doesn't seem to matter to Hulk. The crowd cheers on the Hulk to begin the contest. Hulk seems to enjoy the fandom, and gets himself hyped up for battle. Hulk charges at Thor and Anakin. Thor meets Hulk in the middle of the arena, and tries to persuade him not to fight. He says that they should break out together, but Hulk has come for one reason only. Hulk smashes Thor across the arena, and then turns to Anakin, who is standing dead still. Hulk swings his axe at Anakin, and Anakin ducks under the axe before whacking Hulk across the face with his steel rod. Hulk shakes off the knock and swings at Anakin again. This time, Anakin uses the Force to stop Hulk's axe in midair. The crowd are in disbelief. Thor comes to Anakin's aid and smacks Hulk off his feet with his hammer. The crowd goes silent. This has clearly enraged the Hulk, who returns to his feet and spits out some blood. "That's not good," Thor said. Hulk jumps towards Thor, and Thor meets him in the air where their weapons collide. Hulk's axe smashes Thor's hammer out of his hands, and when they land back on the ground, Hulk grabs Thor and throws him into the arena wall, embedding his body in the concrete. Hulk moves towards Anakin, and Anakin tries to stop him with the Force, but the Hulk pushes against it, moving closer and closer. The Grand Master is watching from his lofty booth, high up in the arena. He gives his beloved champion some assistance by electrocuting Anakin. The shot collapses Anakin and the Hulk closes in. Hulk proceeds to smash Anakin into the ground, digging him deeper with every punch. Anakin is using the Force to protect himself from the Hulk's fists, but he is still taking a beating. Thor calls the Hulk to distract him. Thor summons the power of lighting and tells Hulk to come at him with everything he's got. Hulk charges at Thor, but this time Thor punches his big green friend into the air and flies up after him, and then punches him back down into the arena floor. Anakin is back to his feet and joins the party, landing a fury of strikes to the Hulk. Together, Thor and Anakin trade blow for blow against the Hulk. The Grand Master shocks both Thor and Anakin this time, giving the Hulk a chance to retaliate. Hulk grabs both his contenders, holding one of them in each hand, and jumps high into the sky with them. As they hang in the air for a moment, Thor manages to say something to Anakin through the Hulk's crushing grip. "This is gonna hurt," Thor said. Hulk comes plummeting back to the ground and smashes both Anakin and Thor into the arena floor. The crowd goes wild and Hulk celebrates the victory with his fans. Location: Royal Hall, Asgard. Loki comes to inform Hela that there is an angry mob growing outside the hall. They have come to protest her rule. Hela tells Loki to let them in. The angry mob enters the hall with the makeshift weapons. Hela is amused by the ignorance of their loyalty. She summons her Necro soldiers to imprison anyone who speaks out against her rule. Loki watches in despair as his fellow Asgardians are imprisoned. Location: prison chambers, Asgard. Hours later. Loki has snuck into the prison chambers. He finds Heimdall in a cell, and tells him he needs his help to bring his brother back so he can stop Hela. Heimdall asks why he should trust Loki, when Loki is the one who put him in this prison in the first place. Loki says that this is his last attempt to redeem himself after what's happened with Odin and Hela. Heimdall agrees to help, and Loki sneaks him out of the prison. Location: Chamber of Champions, Sakaar. Thor, Anakin, and Hulk are in a luxurious room assigned to them. Hulk is wallowing in a hot tub. Thor asks Hulk how he ended up here, and if he knows how to escape. Hulk says that he crashed here in Quinn's jet. Hulk is happy on Sakaar, and doesn't want to escape. Thor tells Hulk that they need his help to save his home and revive Anakin's wife. Before the Hulk can respond, Scrapper 142's ship shoots their window to pieces. She says she's had a change of heart and will help them get to Asgard. Anakin and Thor jump onto the ship, and Hulk remains behind. "You coming, big guy?" Thor asked. "We could use the muscle." Hulk reluctantly gets out a steamy hot tub and jumps aboard the ship. On board the ship are Korg and his friend Meek. Scrapper 142 says she brought them with for extra help in the battle, and throws Anakin his lightsaber. "Thought you might need this," Scrapper 142 replied. Scrapper 142 flees Sakaar. Location: somewhere in space. Scrapper 142 wants to know how to get to Asgard if they cannot trust the person in control of the Bifrost. Anakin says that he can use his mental powers to tap into their brain and get them to open the bridge, but he needs to be able to get close enough to do that. Thor says that Anakin's plan won't be possible. Suddenly, the ship starts to shake and they are blinded by a bright light as they are transported directly to the Bifrost Bridge. Location: Bifrost Bridge, Asgard. The crew disembark the ship to find Heimdall and Loki waiting for them at the bridge. Thor is enraged and grabs Loki by the neck. Loki explains that he was the one who freed Heimdall and located their ship after hearing about their escape from Sakaar. He also apologizes for his betrayal and says that they don't have much time. Hela will know that they've used the Bifrost. Thor says that this is not the time for family disputes, and they start devising a plan. Heimdall, take Loki with you to free the rest of the prisoners and bring them back to the bridge. If he steps out of line, kill him, Thor stated. Heimdall said with pleasure. Thor instructed Loki, once you're at the bridge, load them onto the Statesman. We'll use that to escape. Loki replied, copy that. Thor continued. Hulk, you take Korg and Mek with you to keep Hela's army busy. Hulk shouted, Hulk smash. Thor directed 142. You provide support from above. Thor looked at Anakin and said, you're coming with me. Loki teleports himself and Heimdall directly to the prison chambers. Hulk, Korg, and Miek charge off down the bridge towards Asgard. Scrapper 142 flies Anakin and Thor into Asgard and drops them off outside the royal hall. Hulk, Korg, and Miek draw the attention of Hela's necro soldiers. Hulk gets to work doing what he does best, sending the undead soldiers scattering through the palace grounds with every sweep of his colossal fists. Korg and Miek are both hardened warriors, despite their sensitive disposition. They too appear to be enjoying the battle. Anakin and Thor enter the hall to find Hela waiting for them. Welcome home, brother. I see you've made a friend. Hela shoots a necrosword at Anakin, but he blocks in with the Force. Finally, some competition, Hela replied. Anakin draws his lightsaber and defends himself against another barrage of Hela's necroswords. Thor grabs a giant spear from one of the statues in the hall and joins the fight. Hela continues to send necroswords hurtling towards Thor and Anakin. Every time one of them gets close to her, she manages to knock them back with a clever counterattack. Loki and Heimdall usher all of the Asgardians out of the prison and lead them through the city towards the bridge. They arrive on the bridge and Loki goes off to fetch the statesman. They hear a deep growling form behind them and turn to see Fenris approaching the Asgardians. Heimdall prepares to battle the giant wolf, while the Asgardians cower in fear with nowhere to run or hide. Scrapper 142's warship swoops down in front of Fenris and starts firing on the wolf, but the bullets do nothing to its impenetrable skin. Scrapper 142 braces for impact as Fenris leaps towards her ship, but for some reason, the wolf is yanked backwards out of the air. Heimdall looks up to see that the Hulk has come to their rescue. Not far behind the Hulk, Korg and Miek are running away from an angry mob of Necro soldiers led by Skorga. They are gravely outnumbered. Scrapper 142 provides cover from above, enabling Korg and Miek to escape. Loki arrives at the bridge with the huge statesman's ship and starts loading the Asgardians on board. Back in the hall, Anakin and Thor are still battling it out against Hela. Anakin gets close enough to her to scratch her with his lightsaber, but Hela catches him in the shoulder with a necrosword. The sword pierces all the way through Anakin's shoulder and pins him to the wall behind him. Thor takes on his sister alone, attacking furiously with his spear. She is simply too fast and too powerful for Thor, and cuts his eye out with a viscous slash of her sword. Hela forms another sword and walks towards Thor to deal the final blow. Anakin uses his lightsaber to cut the front of the necrosword off, and pulls himself off the other end of the blade. Anakin cries out in agony as the blade rips out of his flesh. Hela lunges at Thor with her sword to kill him, but Anakin blocks her with his lightsaber, and then pushes her backwards with the Force. Back on the bridge, most of the Asgardians have boarded the ship, except for a few who have joined the fight to fend off the Necro soldiers. The ship has been fully surrounded and the pressure is growing. Hulk is being fully occupied by Fenris in a ferocious contest of beast versus beast. Loki knows that they can't hold them off for much longer, and transports himself to the hall to check on Thor and Anakin. Loki arrives in the hall to find Thor and Anakin severely wounded and still trying to defeat Hela. "Have you also come to die, too, brother?" Thor whispers to Loki. Ragnarok. Loki disappears again and Thor finds the strength to continue fighting. Location: Odin's vault, Asgard. Loki takes Surtur's head and places it in the eternal flame. Surtur immediately begins to reform and grow larger. Loki flees, taking the Tesseract with him. Location: Royal Hall, Asgard. Anakin and Thor make their final stand as a team. They apply pressure on Hela the same way they did before when they faced the Hulk. They look incredible fighting together as a team. Thor has summoned the power of thunder to his aid, and they are pushing Hela backwards. Back on the bridge, Loki returns and tells the others what he has done, and that they have to leave immediately before Surtur destroys them all. Scraper 142 says she'll be back and flies towards Asgard. Hulk jumps on Fenris's back and snaps the wolf's jaw in half before ripping out its tongue with his teeth. Heimdall kills Skorga and boards the ship, closing the doors behind them to keep the Necro soldiers out. Only Hulk remains on the bridge, entertaining himself with smashing the undead soldiers to bits. Back in the vault, Surtur has grown so large that he breaks out of the vault, towering over Asgard, as tall as a mountain. Back in the hall, Surtur can be heard emerging from the vault. Thor said, "I guess you've lost, sister." At that moment, Surtur broke open the roof of the royal hall. Hela shouted, "No, I've waited too long to have everything stolen from me again." Hela attacked Surtur. Scrapper 142's ship arrives at the entrance to the hall, and Anakin helps carry a badly injured Thor to the ship. They board the ship and flee, while Hela battles Surtur in desperation to preserve her kingdom. Hela slings giant necroswords at Surtur, impaling the monster multiple times. Surtur swings his giant blade, leveling buildings in the process, seemingly unbothered by Hela's attempts to stop him. Back at the bridge, the warship arrives and docks into the Statesman. Heimdall opens the main door to let the Hulk board the ship. In the distance, we can see Hela and Surtur battling over Asgard. Hela rides towards Surtur on a tremendous spire, aiming directly for the fire demon's heart. Surtur sees the attack coming and raises his mighty sword above his head and plunges it downwards directly into Hela's spire. Surtur's sword breaks ground and sinks deep into Asgard. The Asgardians watch in horror from the Statesman as their home is destroyed. The sad moment is short-lived because they know they have survived, and that Hela has been defeated. Although the Ragnarok prophecy came true, their outcome is better now than it was under Hela's tyrannical rule. Thor thanks Anakin for saving his life, and apologizes for breaking their deal. Without allowing Surtur to use the Eternal Flame to grow to full power, they could not have defeated Hela. Loki interrupts. Loki said, "You know me, I couldn't help but eavesdrop a little. I know you're looking for someone who's not around. Well, not around in this timeline anyway. I did a bit of shopping in Dad's vault and brought you this." Loki handed Anakin the Tesseract. Loki added, "Think of it as a token of Asgard's gratitude." Anakin asked, "What is this?" Thor explained, "The Tesseract. It holds the Space Stone. It allows interdimensional travel. It'll help you go back in time. Maybe we can save her." Anakin inquired, "We?" Thor confirmed, "I promised to help you, didn't I?" Anakin thanked him. "Thank you." Thor replied, "No. Thank you, my friend." Thor and Anakin shook hands. Anakin introduced himself. "My name's Anakin, Anakin Skywalker. Location, Tonsberg, Norway. On Earth, Thor and Heimdall happily oversee the creation of New Asgard." Thor laughs as he walks off to join Anakin, who is waiting by his ship. "Just gotta take a quick trip into the past. No biggie," Thor said. And that is going to be it for part 1 of What If Anakin Skywalker Was in Thor Ragnarok. Now, what did you think of this episode? If you guys do enjoy, do make sure to subscribe, like, share, and turn those notifications on so you and your friends are all up to date with the latest content. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in part 2 of What If Anakin Skywalker Was in Avengers Infinity War. Will he meet the other Avengers? We'll have to see. Will he meet Thanos? We will have to see. Thank you so much, and I will see you soon. Peace out.